47 has returned. Hitman Absolution sees the return of an old favorite, Agent 47. How does this story stand up? We're about to find out. Let's get things started with the story. The story of Hitman Absolution begins with a brief history of why you were going after your old handler, Diana. However, before he finishes the job, she tells him why she did what he did, and 47 realizes he was on the wrong side. Thus, he saves a young girl for the agency, just as Diana had attempted to do herself. After you drop the girl off in a safe place, it's time to go to work. 47 needs to know why the agency wants this girl, and more importantly, how to stop them. Agent 47 is done, going as far as to cut the barcode from his head, a very strong moment for anyone who knows anything about this franchise. I don't want to give too much away here, but it is a fantastic tale, with a surprising amount of character and depth. More than that, it makes you feel for Agent 47, particularly in the beginning, when the agency he has always known becomes his enemy. Overall, the story of Hitman Absolution earns a 9 out of 10. It was a fantastic ride, and I look forward to playing it again real soon. Next up, let's take a look at the gameplay. Now, if you've ever played a Hitman game and you know it isn't about running and gunning, this is a game where you have to outthink your target, giving this the well-deserved reputation of a thinking man's game. Missions are broke up into smaller sections than in older Hitman games, which can be seen as good or bad. If you're a fan of the older game's more open world feel, you may not like this change. However, it does allow you to replay missions a lot easier to improve your score and your overall ranking. They have also improved the gunplay elements to be more in line with a third-person action game, should you find yourself in a gun battle, which will happen sometimes. They've also added a Red Dead style bullet time mechanic, which not only allows you to hit multiple targets, but reveal objectives, figure out the paths the guards are walking, and find interactive objects in the environment. My only real complaints here are that the new checkpoint system is botched. Every time you hit the checkpoint and reload, all the enemies will respawn, regardless of whether or not they were dead before you went to the checkpoint. On top of that, the melee system is all quick time events. All of it. Now, I don't hate QuickTime events for cutscenes, but to just not even have a real melee system is damn near unforgivable. Another thing that I consider frustrating but isn't really a negative on the game itself is they've changed the disguise system. See, now if you run across a similar looking enemy to yourself, for example, if you knock out a cook and you take the cook's outfit, another cook will recognize at once that you are not the cook that you're supposed to be. While this adds challenge to the game, it can also be really frustrating. Lastly, I'm going to talk about one of the most fun aspects of this game, and those are the unique ways of taking out a target. This can be through sabotaging a hair gel experiment, or my personal favorite is waiting for a man who gets a cell phone call from his doctor, telling him that what he thought was cancer is not. Then just as he's ready to jump for joy, you yank him out of the window and ruin his day. It always makes me laugh, which does make me wonder if I'm a bad person. Overall, the gameplay for Hitman Absolution earns a 7 out of 10. While it does feel like a Hitman experience, it must be said the game is not perfect, but it is above average. Next up, let's take a look at the soundtrack. This is a game that has what a lot of games have nowadays, an excellent soundtrack. I know I give a lot of high marks when it comes to music, but that's because even bad games seem to have good music these days. On top of that, the voice acting is top notch, and it was so good to hear 47's sadistic monotone once again. Overall, the soundtrack for Hitman Absolution earns a perfect 10 out of 10. I loved every moment of the sound, be it the voice acting, the music, or the sound effects. They nailed it. Next up, let's take a look at the graphics. Another benefit of the smaller levels I talked about earlier is it allows more detailed layout of each area. This place feels real, and the people you meet feel like these are actually alive. On top of that, you can tell the same engine was used for cutscenes as was used in-game. Personally, I cannot stand it when a game has a separate engine for one or the other, because it can be very jarring and take you out of the experience, and thankfully that is something this game does not suffer from. The only complaint I have is that sometimes when you load in, you will experience a little bit of a stutter on the consoles. But but after about 5 seconds it goes away and I never notice any lagging while playing, so I'm not going to harp on it. Overall, the graphics of Hitman Absolution earn an 8 out of 10. They are really, really good and need to be experienced firsthand to really understand what I'm talking about. Lastly, let's take a look at customer care. Now let's start by talking about the well-designed community hub, where you can compare your scores with people around the world, giving this game a more arcade feel as you will be replaying levels with the goal of earning that top spot. On top of that, I found no glitches in my playthrough, and I have yet to hear of any glitches from other gamers, and that is a truly high mark in this game's favor to me. Now, there was a bit of controversy on a Facebook app the company used to advertise the game. However, I'm not going to go into it here. If you want to see what it is, I'm sure it's on Google, and frankly, I thought it was blown way out of proportion. Overall, the customer care of Hitman Absolution earns an 8 out of 10. If every company did what this one did, I don't think places like Hold the Line would even need to exist. Gamers would already be in good hands. Overall, Hitman Absolution earns a 42 out of 50. I would recommend it not only to fans of the series, but to newcomers as well, as this will be a great jumping on point in the series for anyone. This is one of those truly must-have games if you own a system that can play it. That's it for this review. For more like it and any other gamer needs, please head over to holdtheline.com. Until next time, my name is Vega-Goose saying, when life's got you down, throw it in the God mode and keep kicking ass. I'll see you next time.